If tonight has felt a little heavier than most, I'm really glad you found this place. You don't have to make yourself feel peaceful. You don't have to stop your thoughts. And you certainly don't have to force yourself to sleep. You've probably been trying to do that already. You don't have to try anymore. Just listen. Let the rain do what rain has always done. Let the fire keep burning. Let the mountains remain exactly where they are. And if your thoughts are still busy, that's all right too. Nothing here is asking you to be different from how you are right now. Take one slow breath. Not a deep breath, just the next breath that naturally arrives. And when it leaves, let it leave at its own pace. There's nowhere to get to, nothing to achieve, no perfect way to do this. Tonight, you are simply here. Listen carefully. Can you hear the rain? It's been falling for quite some time now. Across the mountains, across the tall pines, across winding little paths that very few people ever find. Somewhere far beyond the valley, thunder rolls quietly through the night. Not close enough to disturb the peace, only close enough to remind you that even storms can remain in the distance. There is something comforting about that, knowing that not every storm has to become yours. Somewhere ahead, beyond the trees, there is a little cabin. You can't quite see it yet. Only the faintest glow between the branches. A single warm light. Soft, golden, patient. It doesn't call for you. It doesn't hurry you. It simply waits. As though someone quietly left the light on, hoping that if you ever needed somewhere to rest, you'd know exactly where to find it. When you feel ready, allow yourself to take your first step. There's no hurry. The cabin isn't going anywhere. It has been here through countless evenings like this one. It will still be here, however slowly you choose to walk. The path beneath your feet feels soft after the rain. The earth gives gently with each step. Not enough to slow you down, just enough to remind you that the ground is there to support you. The air smells wonderfully clean. Rain, pine, damp earth. The kind of air that almost makes you want to breathe a little more slowly, simply because it feels so good. Tiny drops cling to the pine needles above you. Now and then, one falls quietly to the forest floor. There is no rhythm to it, no pattern, no urgency. Just nature, continuing exactly as it always has. You begin to notice something. The further you walk, the less interested your mind becomes in following every thought. Not because you've pushed them away, not because you've emptied your mind, only because there's finally something gentler to pay attention to. The rain, the trees, the quiet sound of your footsteps, the warm light waiting patiently ahead. You don't have to leave your thoughts behind tonight. You don't have to solve them. They'll still know where to find you tomorrow if they need to. For now, you can simply let them walk a little way behind. They don't need to lead the journey anymore. The forest grows quieter, not because the sounds have disappeared, but because you've stopped listening for what might happen next. There is only this step, then another. The gentle rain, a cool breeze brushing softly against your face. Another quiet breath. And somewhere ahead, that little warm light, still shining through the trees, waiting exactly as it always has. The path curves gently through the trees, and without really noticing when it happened, your footsteps begin to slow. Not because you're tired, simply because there is no reason to rush anymore. The forest keeps its own gentle pace, and somehow it's very easy to borrow it. The rain continues to fall, not heavily, just enough to soften every sound around you. It settles quietly upon the branches above, onto moss-covered stones, across little ferns that line the edge of the path. Every leaf seems to hold a tiny drop of silver, each one catching the moonlight before quietly letting it fall. You pause for a moment, not because you need to, only because it feels good to stop. You draw in another easy breath. The air is cool against your face, fresh, clean, alive with the scent of pine and rain. You hadn't realized how much you needed air like this. Somewhere nearby, an owl calls softly through the trees, just once. Then the forest becomes quiet again. Not empty, never empty, just wonderfully peaceful. The sort of silence that still has life within it. You begin walking once more. The ground beneath your feet feels steady. Every step seems to settle you a little more, as though the forest has no interest in taking you somewhere new, only in helping you remember a pace of life that has always been yours. Another distant roll of thunder drifts slowly across the mountains. You listen until it fades. Then, almost without thinking, your attention returns to the rain. It always does. The rain never asks to be noticed, yet somehow it gently gathers your thoughts and carries them somewhere quieter. The warm light appears again, just for a moment, a soft golden glow between the trees. Then it disappears behind another tall pine. You smile. It almost feels as though the cabin knows exactly how quickly to reveal itself, never hurrying you, never hiding from you, simply allowing you to arrive, one gentle step at a time. The trees begin to stand a little further apart now. The path widens. The forest opens just enough of the moonlight to reach the ground. Silver light rests across the rain-soaked earth. Tiny puddles reflect the night sky. When another raindrop lands, the reflection quietly ripples, then becomes still once more. You find yourself watching it for a moment. There is something deeply calming about seeing the world return so naturally to stillness. The breeze brushes gently past you again, cool but never cold. It carries the faint scent of wood smoke now, so faint you almost wonder if you imagined it. Then it comes again, warm, comforting, home. You know the cabin is close, not because you can see it, because you can feel it. There are evenings in life when you don't need excitement. You don't need answers. You don't need everything to make sense. You only need somewhere peaceful where nothing is expected of you. Somewhere you don't have to explain yourself. Somewhere you can simply arrive exactly as you are. Somehow, this little cabin has already become that place, even before you've reached it. The rain continues its gentle song. Your breathing has found its rhythm. The forest walks quietly beside you, and ahead, through the softly falling rain, the warm light shines a little brighter than before. Still waiting, still patient, still quietly reminding you that some places never stop welcoming you home. The rain continues its quiet rhythm, never changing, never asking anything from the night around it. By now, it feels less like something you're listening to, and more like something quietly carrying you forward. The path begins to rise, only a little, just enough for the trees ahead to thin. Moonlight spills gently between their branches. The forest feels more open here, as though it already knows your journey is almost over. You slow without thinking, not because you've decided to, simply because something ahead has gently caught your attention. There, between two tall pines, you see it again, the warm light. Not much more than a soft golden glow, steady, quiet, patient. It never flickers, it never calls you. It simply waits, exactly where it has always been. You find yourself standing still for a moment, listening. Rain upon the trees, rain upon the earth, rain upon the roof somewhere ahead. For the first time you can hear it. The gentle sound of raindrops landing on old wooden shingles. A sound so ordinary, yet somehow so deeply comforting. A faint curl of wood smoke rises above the trees. The breeze carries it gently towards you. Warm cedar, burning oak, the unmistakable scent of a fire that's been glowing quietly for hours. You smile, not because you've arrived, but because something inside you already knows you are close. One gentle step, then another. The forest slowly begins to fall away behind you. The path widens. The ground becomes smooth beneath your feet. Small stones glisten beneath the moonlight. Tiny pools of rainwater reflect the warm light ahead, each ripple catching gold before becoming perfectly still again. The cabin slowly reveals itself, not all at once. First, the roof, dark timber softened by the rain. Then the chimney, a thin ribbon of smoke drifting peacefully into the night sky. Then the windows, warm light glowing softly from each one. Not bright, never bright, just enough to make the rain shimmer like tiny stars. You stop once more, not because you've reached the end of your walk, because this feels like one of those rare moments that asks nothing from you, except to simply take it in. There is something wonderfully ordinary about the cabin. It isn't large, it isn't grand. It wasn't built to impress anyone. It was built to shelter, to welcome, to stand quietly through the rain, through the wind, through long winters, and gentle spring evenings. It has done that faithfully for longer than anyone remembers. Looking at it now, it's difficult to imagine a place that feels more peaceful. The warm light resting against the rain, the fire glowing somewhere inside, the quiet sound of water finding its way from the roof to the earth below. Nothing trying to be beautiful, yet everything quietly becoming so. You notice the little porch. A lantern hangs beside the door, its gentle light swaying in the evening breeze. A pair of old walking boots rest neatly beside the entrance. A simple wooden bench sits beneath the window, waiting, as though someone expected that sooner or later someone would arrive needing a place to rest. You realise you've stopped thinking about the day. You don't remember exactly when it happened. Perhaps it was somewhere along the forest path. Perhaps it was while you were listening to the rain. Perhaps it was the moment you first saw the light between the trees. It doesn't really matter. Only this moment matters now. Standing quietly in the rain, looking towards a place that somehow feels familiar before you've even stepped inside. You draw one slow breath. The scent of rain, fresh pine, wood smoke, cool evening air. Then, with the gentlest of smiles, you begin walking once more. Towards the warm light, towards the quiet fire, towards the little cabin where the light was left on. The last few steps feel different somehow. Not because the path has changed, but because you've stopped feeling as though you're travelling anywhere at all. It feels less like arriving and more like returning. The rain continues to fall softly around you. Tiny drops shimmer in the lantern light before disappearing into the darkness below. The little wooden gate opens with the gentlest of touches. No sound, no effort, as though it has always known you would pass this way one evening. A short stone path leads to the porch. Rain has darkened every stone. The warm light spilling from the windows rests softly upon them, turning each one into a quiet reflection of fire inside. You walk slowly, not because you're tired, simply because there is nowhere left to hurry towards. The porch roof shelters you from the rain. For the first time since beginning your walk, you notice the silence that follows. Not the absence of sound, the absence of rain upon your shoulders. The forest still sings beyond the porch. The roof catches every raindrop above you. The mountains remain somewhere beyond the darkness. Everything continues exactly as before, only now you are gently sheltered within it. You stand for a moment beside the door. Your hand rests upon the smooth wooden handle. It feels worn with time, not old, simply well used, as though many hands have rested here before yours. Not strangers, just people who also arrive carrying a little more than they had wished to. You take an easy breath. The scent of warm cedar reaches you first, then oak, then the quiet sweetness of wood smoke drifting through the evening air. It feels impossible not to smile, not because something extraordinary has happened, only because your body recognizes comfort before your mind has found words for it. With one gentle movement, you press the handle down. The door opens slowly, without a creak, without resistance, as though the cabin has been listening for your footsteps all along. Warmth greets you, softly, patiently. Not the sudden warmth of stepping into a heated room, the slow warmth of a fire that has been burning for hours. A warmth that doesn't rush towards you, it simply waits for you to step into. For a few quiet moments, you do nothing at all. You simply stand, breathing, listening. Rain upon the roof outside. A quiet crackle from the fire somewhere deeper within the cabin. The faint whisper of a wind drifting through windows left slightly open. The whole place seems to breathe with the same gentle rhythm. Your eyes slowly begin to wander. Golden firelight rests across the old timber walls. Strong oak beams stretched overhead. The wood is softened with time, not worn out, simply lived with. Everything here carries the quiet marks of many peaceful evenings. The floor beneath your feet gives the faintest welcoming creak as you take another step. Not loud enough to disturb the silence, only enough to remind you that this cabin has never tried to be perfect, only welcoming. The rain is still with you, not outside, but all around. It taps gently upon the roof. It whispers through the slightly open windows. Now and then, a cool breath of mountain air slips quietly into the room, carrying with it the scent of pine and wet earth. The fire answers with its own gentle warmth, neither trying to replace the other, both quietly belonging together. You find yourself breathing a little more slowly now. Not because anyone asks you to, because there is finally enough peace around you for your breathing to remember its own natural rhythm. There is a comfortable chair waiting beside the fire, not perfectly arranged, not untouched, simply ready. A soft knitted blanket rests over one arm. A book lies quietly upon the little table beside it, its pages closed. Unhurried, as though it already understands that tonight rest matters more than reading. You walk towards the fire. Its warmth reaches your hands before you reach the hearth. Tiny flames rise and settle, never rushing, never trying to become anything other than fire. You watch them for a moment, and without noticing exactly when, the last little pieces of the outside world grow wonderfully distant. You remain beside the fire, not because there is anything more to do, but because it feels good to simply be still. The warmth reaches your hands first, then your shoulders, then seems to settle quietly somewhere much deeper. Outside, the rain continues its gentle conversation with the roof. Every now and then, a soft roll of thunder wanders across the distant mountains, never close enough to disturb the peace, only close enough to remind you of how comforting it has been to be here. The room has its own quiet rhythm. The fire breathes, the rain answers. The breeze drifts gently through the open windows. For a little while, you simply listen. Nothing asks for your attention, yet everything gently receives it. Near the hearth, a small black kettle rests on a cast iron stand. You notice the faintest curl of steam rising into the warm air. The water is almost ready, not because anyone hurried it, simply because enough time has passed. There is something quietly reassuring about that. Some things cannot be rushed. They simply become ready when they are ready. You lift the kettle with both hands. It feels nice and warm, never too hot. The familiar weight settles naturally into your grip. A simple ceramic mug waits on the table, cream-coloured, smooth around the rim. The sort of mug that has been held so many times, it already feels familiar. You pour the water slowly. The gentle sound fills the room for a few peaceful seconds. Steam rises lazily into the amber glow, twisting, curling, disappearing. Nothing hurries, not the water, not the steam, not this evening. You wrap your hands around the mug. Its warmth settles into your fingers. You don't lift it straight away. You simply enjoy the feeling of holding it. Sometimes, warmth by itself is enough. You return to the chair beside the fire. The cushion welcomes you once again. The knitted blanket rests lightly across your lap. Outside, the rain continues to fall beyond the open windows. Fresh mountain air drifts gently into the room. The coolness of the forest meeting the warmth of the fire. Neither trying to change the other, both simply sharing the same quiet evening. You lift the mug, one slow sip. The warmth spread gently through you. Simple, comforting, exactly what you hoped it would be. You smile, not because the tea is extraordinary, because there is nowhere you need to drink it quickly. The fire crackles softly beside you. A log settles gently. A tiny shower of sparks rises, then disappears into the chimney. You watch them for a moment, not following them, simply noticing. The way you might notice leaves floating down a stream, or clouds drifting across the evening sky. The cabin asks nothing of you. It doesn't ask you to think differently. It doesn't ask you to feel differently. It doesn't ask you to become anyone else. It simply offers you a quiet place where you don't have to carry the weight of the world for a little while. The rain grows just a touch steadier now. Still gentle, still peaceful. Its rhythm blends with the fire until it's difficult to tell where one sound ends and the other begins. Your breathing finds that rhythm too, without effort, without instruction, as naturally as the tide returning to the shore. The tea slowly cools. the fire continues to glow. Outside, the rain keeps falling through the forest. The little cabin remains warm, steady, unchanging, a place where nothing needs to happen before this moment can already be enough. For a while longer, you simply sit, listening, breathing, watching the fire, holding the warm mug between your hands, and quietly noticing that the day feels a little further away than it did before. The warmth of the tea lingers for a little while. You hold the mug a moment longer, even after the last sip is gone. Not because you're thinking about anything, simply because it feels good to be still. The fire settled into a quiet rhythm now. The bright flames of earlier have become softer, slower. Every now and then a log shifts gently upon the embers, sending a handful of tiny sparks upwards before they disappear into the chimney. You watch them rise, then quietly let them go. Outside, the rain continues, steady, patient, almost as though it had forgotten how long it had been falling. It doesn't matter. There is nowhere else for it to be. You place the empty mug gently on the little wooden table. The sound is barely more than a whisper. Everything in the cabin seems to understand the value of quiet. Nothing interrupts it. Nothing competes with it. Even the fire seems content simply to glow. You notice the room has changed, not dramatically, just enough. The shadows have grown a little longer. The lantern by the window burns a little lower. The moon has climbed a little higher above the trees. Time has continued to move without even asking you to notice. You find yourself looking towards the open window. Beyond it, the forest rests beneath the rain. The branches sway gently in the night breeze. Drops gather at their tips, fall, then gather again. A rhythm older than memory, one that has never needed anyone to understand it. You smile quietly. There is something deeply comforting about a world that knows how to carry on without rushing. The chair supports you completely now. The blanket rests comfortably around your shoulders. The warmth of the fire reaches one side of your face. The cool mountain air brushes the other. For a brief moment, warmth and coolness exist together, neither asking the other to leave. Another distant roll of thunder moves slowly across the valley. You hear it, you don't follow it. The sound comes, the sound goes. The quiet remains. It occurs to you that this little cabin never tries to hold the evening still. It doesn't ask the rain to stop. It doesn't ask the fire to burn forever. It simply welcomes each moment, exactly as it arrives. Perhaps that's why it feels so peaceful here. For a while, you simply sit with that feeling. No need to understand it. Some things are kinder when they are simply experienced. The room grows a little quieter still. The fire settles lower into glowing embers. The rain becomes the clearest sound, gentle, steady, unhurried. The kind of sound that seems to make the whole world breathe a little more slowly. Without really deciding to, you stand, not because you're leaving this room, only because the evening has quietly become night. The empty mug remains upon the table. The blanket is folded carefully across the chair once more. The fire continues to glow, content to keep watch until morning. Everything is exactly where it should be. You take one last look around the room, not to remember it. There is no need. Some places stay with you long after you've left them. You have a feeling that this is one of those places. The little staircase waits quietly nearby, its wooden steps softened by many years of gentle footsteps. You rest your hand lightly on the banister, smooth, warm, familiar. Then, without hurry, you begin to climb. One slow step, then another, while below the fire continues to glow and the rain continues its endless song upon the roof. The staircase rises quietly beneath your feet, each step slow, unhurried, familiar somehow. The gentle creak of the old wood is almost part of the silence itself. Behind you, the fire continues its quiet watch. Ahead, the rain grows just a little clearer, softly falling upon the roof above. At the top of the stairs, a small landing waits in the gentle glow of moonlight. One door stands slightly open. Warm light spills softly across the wooden floor. You don't hurry towards it. There is no need. The room has waited all evening. It can wait another few moments. You rest your hand lightly against the door and ease it open. The room is simple. A wooden bed, fresh white sheets, a thick quilt folded neatly across it, a small bedside table, a single lamp casting a warm amber glow. Nothing more, nothing less. Everything here has exactly the quiet purpose it needs. The window beside the bed remains slightly open. The curtains move gently with the evening breeze. Rain whispers against the roof. Now and then, a few drops find the window ledge. The sound is soft, almost impossible to separate from the rest of the night. You step towards the window. The forest stretches peacefully into darkness. Moonlight rests across the top of the trees. The winding path that brought you here is almost hidden now beneath the rain. Only the little lantern beside the porch still glows softly below. The light hasn't gone out. It never needed to. You draw one slow breath of cool mountain air. The scent of pine, rain, a trace of wood smoke rising from the chimney. Then you quietly let the breath go again. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to happen. This moment is already enough. You turn towards the bed. The quilt folds back with the gentlest movement. You settle beneath it slowly. The mattress welcomes your weight without sound. The pillow supports your head. The blanket rests across you. Warm, soft, familiar, as though it already knows exactly how to hold you. You allow yourself to sink just a little deeper, not trying to relax, simply noticing how easily the bed carries you. There is nothing for you to hold now. The mattress does the holding. The quilt keeps the warmth. The cabin keeps the quiet. The rain keeps watch beyond the window. Your hands become still. Your shoulders soften naturally. The small muscles around your eyes let go of the day without being asked. Even your breathing seems content simply to come and go. Come and go. The fire downstairs has become only the faintest glow now. You can no longer hear every crackle, only the occasional gentle settling of the embers below. The rain has become the clearest sound, soft, steady, unchanging, like an old friend sitting nearby, asking nothing of you except to rest. The room grows quieter. The pauses between each thought become a little wider. Not because you're trying to empty your mind, only because the night is giving your thoughts somewhere peaceful to settle. Outside, another quiet roll of thunder drifts across the mountains. You listen for a moment. Then the rain returns. It always returns, steady, patient, comforting. The little cabin remains warm around you. The forest remains peaceful beyond the window. The light below still shines softly into the rain. Everything is exactly where it should be. And for the first time today, perhaps, so are you. The room has become wonderfully quiet now. Not because the rain has stopped, not because the fire has faded, only because there is nothing left that needs your attention. The quilt rests gently around you. The pillow supports you without asking anything in return. The little cabin holds its quiet warmth through another peaceful night. Outside, the rain continues, just as it has all evening, just as it did before you arrive, just as it will long after sleep has found you. Somewhere below, the fire still glows. Its brightest flames have settled into warm amber embers. Patient, steady, content simply to keep watching until morning. The window remains slightly open. The cool mountain air drifts gently through the room. The curtains rise, then fall again. The scent of rain and pine still lingers quietly in the air. Far beyond the valley, another distant roll of thunder wanders softly across the night. You listen, only until the rain returns. It always returns. Steady, familiar, comforting. There is nothing left to do now, nothing left to understand, nothing left to carry. The day has already gone. Tomorrow will arrive when it is ready. This moment asks nothing of you. You simply rest. The little cabin remains exactly as you found it. The fire below, the rain upon the roof, the forest beyond the window, the mountains keeping their quiet watch beneath the stars. Nothing trying to become different, nothing trying to become more. Only this peaceful night continuing exactly as it is. If another thought drifts quietly through your mind, let it pass through this room as gently as the evening breeze. It doesn't need to stay. It doesn't need to leave. Like the rain, it simply finds its own way. For a while, there are no more journeys, no more paths to follow, no more doors to open. You have already arrived. The rain continues, the fire continues, the night continues. And somewhere below, just beyond the bedroom window, the little lantern beside the porch still burns quietly, its warm light resting softly upon the rain, exactly where you left it, exactly where it will remain, waiting patiently, without hurry, without expectation, simply there. Whenever life becomes a little too loud, whenever your thoughts begin to wander, whenever your heart longs for somewhere quiet, this little cabin will still be here. The path will still wait beneath the trees. The rain will still fall gently through the forest. The fire will still glow beside the old chair. The window will still be open to the cool mountain air. And the light will still be left on. Now, let the rain keep watch. Let the fire keep warm. Let the mountains remain still. And let these words quietly fade into the peaceful sounds of the night.